Keshav Srinivasan, who is our shortlisted for Best Drama Short. Hi, Griffin. How are you today?
Hey, doing good.
Good. So let me tell the guys a bit about yourself. So you studied at the Chapman University and you're about to graduate at the University of Cambridge. You're a young, eminent American filmmaker who is beginning to create movies that make people actually think about things whilst challenging the form. Is that right?
Yeah, slight correction. I'm going to attend graduate school at the University.
Oh, okay. I'll apologize. No worries of that. So, can you tell us a bit about your production and where the idea of making a movie like Living in Anger came from?
Yeah, so Living in Anger, it's my Chapman thesis film. So we it went through like a lot of different drafts, but the original concept was always the relationship between the two brothers. The one with the speech impediment and the one who is more of like this, loose cannon kind of person. And it was interesting because the idea for the script was it was basically these two characters in different stories every single draft. There were like wildly different stories. Sometimes there were comedies, sometimes there were like crime thrillers, sometimes there were just dramas, and it kind of just kept writing them until I really, really understood them.
Yeah,
and finally put them into the story that you see in the film.
Okay.
And
yeah.
Okay, yeah, and then eventually I just decided, okay, we're locking this in. We're just gonna shoot this one.
Cool, brilliant. And I watched it a couple of days ago, and it is a really good short drama. So well done for that. Well directed. The guys acted it really, really well. Now the mood of the short is actually quite tense, and it tends to sort of draw a line in terms of sort of family relationships and trust in family relationships. An exception made with the with Brotherhood. Now, in this case specific, in the making of the script, what was the backstory that linked the two brothers together?
Yeah, so the idea behind it was that, and I didn't want to dump a bunch of exposition. I kind of like the idea of sort of piecing it together yourself. But the idea is that these two brothers in childhood would be very close, and they're at a young age, their parents passed away, and the older brother didn't take this well, ran off, and the younger brother went on to live with his uncle who turned to be physically abusive. And so the older brother one day comes back and sees that the younger brother is in this abusive relationship with his uncle, and decides to take action.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, one thing I did like is it was a bit like the older brother did sort of act like a stereotypical older brother, took him under his wing and wanted to protect him and make sure he stayed safe. Was that something you really wanted to try and sort of pin home as well?
Yeah. I mean, it definitely wanted to be like a very brotherly kind of like friendly relationship with this weird dark undercurrent to it.
Yeah.
And the idea is that you should be emotionally invested in the relationship and how it progresses and how it develops and how it finally ends. And the best way I think to do that is to just show them being brothers, as opposed to constantly having this layer of darkness. There's this one moment in the film where they're like play fighting, like around the middle, and it actually wasn't in the script originally. It was like late in the evening, and the light looked kind of nice, and me and my cinematographer were like, let's just get this. And I'm so glad I got it, because I think it really like cements the relationship and the kind of play to them.
Yeah, definitely. And I love how the fact that sometimes when actors actually do that, they go a bit off script in that sort of way. It can really help add to the story, that's just brilliant to see.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was blessed with a couple with a set, three really terrific actors, and who are all really, really creative and great storytellers too. I mean, I think the best actors think like directors, Yeah. They think with the story in mind, and they're all terrific storytellers.
Yeah, definitely. And now when we have a look at the title of Living in Anger, it brings up a certain sort of state of mind that we might experience sometimes. I mean, just walking on the road where you might witness, I say, a certain level of anger or general sort of unkindness. So what inspired you to call this title Living in Anger?
I really like those titles of those like old plays. I mean, the biggest inspiration for Living in Anger was the play A Look Back in Anger. And I just really like the kind of, boldness of it. And, the entire story, I mean, in different ways is about anger. The anger from the uncle to his nephew, the anger from the older brother to the uncle, and how anger can be a catalyst for change, but can also be a very self-destructive thing. And the older brother is literally like constantly living in the state of anger.
Mm-hmm.
He's constantly like living in the state of violence, and it affects not just evil people like the uncle, but the innocent as well.
Yeah. Who do you think, from looking at the director, from being directing this, who do you think was most angry? Because you've got these three characters. They're all angry, like you said, in different about things, but we see it in very different ways, don't we?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I would say for sure the older brother. I mean, it's interesting with the uncle. The uncle certainly like has a level of anger to him, but it's almost like he's so much in control that he doesn't need to be as angry as the older brother. The older brother, he's always kind of like, he feels like he's like this underdog character, Definitely. And I think as a result, he kind of like needs to lash out in that regard in order to kind of almost prove himself.
Yeah, definitely. And sort of towards the end, we don't see as much compared with the older brother, the younger brother's anger. I mean, we see him, like you say, play fighting, that sort of thing. But when it came to sort of the end of the film, how much do you agree with what the younger brother did and his choices in the film?
Well, it's interesting because, I mean, the idea with the film was to show, how this cycle of anger and violence can affect even those who are innocent, even those who are peaceful. And it kind of shows how it's not just like, it's this idea of anger stemming from mistrust, right? So when the younger brother hallucinates the uncle there, it's this idea of the younger brother feeling the older brother's tendencies starting to basically infect him. He's not completely there. He's not seeing reality as it is, and so that was kind of the idea I was trying to get at, is how it kind of just turns into this cycle, and like one person just keeps affecting the other, despite them being innocent.
Yeah, definitely. And do you think we could say maybe as the audience, we can see the younger brother maybe trying to live up to sort of maybe an expectation of the older brother? He can be like him, because when you look at the statuses of the two characters, you very much see the older one as the stronger character.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's definitely this idea of, a younger brother looking up to his older brother and wanting to be like him. I mean, I think any of us who have older siblings, I mean, I have an older cousin who's like an older brother, and like I look up to him, and definitely when I was a kid, I wanted to be like him. I think we can all kind of relate to that if we have older siblings. And so, yeah, there's definitely this idea of idealization.
Yeah, definitely.
I kind of wanted to get across as well.
And a lot of the film was sort of it was filmed in, what's the word, sort of less populated areas. So whereabouts was most of the movie filmed, and how long did it actually take to complete?
It's interesting actually, because when the script was written, I didn't have a location in mind. I just wrote abandoned house and desert.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, all right, I guess we'll figure out where we'll shoot this later. But we were looking up places online where we can shoot, and I found this really fascinating place called the Salton Sea, which is very east into California. And what's interesting about the Salton Sea is that it used to be this, like, it was created to be a tourist destination originally, I think back in the 50s when it was conceived. But the salt level in the lakes were so high that nothing could live there. So you have all these dead trees, you have these like dead fish on the beach, and you had all these houses and buildings and structures that were originally created for like resorts and stuff that basically have been completely abandoned because the place was just completely unsustainable. And it kind of became this really fascinating place that like looked very visually stunning and has this whole history behind it, you know? And it was just kind of a gold mine when we found it out, and we just like pulled out all the stops to make it happen. and I'm really happy we found it, because it was really just like a perfect location.
Yeah.
As far as how long the film took to make, it took 6 days to shoot, 3 days in the house and 3 days in Salt.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, because it's really good when you sort of find locations like you weren't expecting to see, because it fits in really well with the story of the film. So yeah, definitely well done. Good find on that one there. Yeah. So what's your next project? What's the next in plan for you?
So right now, I'm kind of focusing on going to grad school at Cambridge and for film studies.
Brilliant.
And trying to get my doctorate as well. But I had a short in mind that I was preparing for, and then this whole pandemic hit, especially my country really hard.
Yeah.
Especially my state and my country really hard. So that's been kind of put on hold, unfortunately. But as soon as things start getting better and start clearing up, we're going to jump right into it. And this new short film, it's very different from Living Anger. It's more of like a coming of age comedy.
Okay.
About an older brother and a younger sister. I don't know if you can see the parallel.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's more of it's more fun.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Well, that's brilliant. I mean, good luck for the film. I've seen it. It is a very good. For you guys at home, make sure to give it a look. Subscribe to Miraban. Go and watch the film and vote for it as well. To be best audience. It's actually up for the best drama short. So good luck for that, Keshav. Thank you so much for talking to us, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.